Welcome to the Family Hour of the Yahowah blog. I'm your host. We have a host of characters with us back in my swimming pool. We have Kevin at the top of the screen. How are you, Kevin?
Doing well. Waiting for snow here, so snow and ice.
Oh, well, it doesn't look like in that scene that it's going to snow anytime soon. I think it was quite some time ago before the last time we saw snow. The coldest I have experienced it here in the 7 years we have lived here, it was in the low 70s, and that's where it is right now at the coldest time at night. Typically doesn't snow at that temperature.
No.
Kirk, you're still hanging in there, man.
I'm here.
What is the latest with your treatment?
I'm halfway through the radiation. We celebrated that today.
Yay!
Yeah, well,
celebrated it.
But well,
how does one celebrate radiation halfway through the?
Well, you walk up the stairs and promise you won't come back, but I will. But the other medical stuff goes on for another 160 days. The medicine.
Other medical stuff goes on.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see.
Do you feel like all the ugly C's are disappearing?
No.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah. You don't think you're saying goodbye?
I feel like I got beat up, and anyway, that's enough.
Yeah, lost a part of yourself, huh?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
You're here. Don't recommend this for anybody.
No.
Wow. And you're fighting a form of the big C that has a 99.9% survival rate. That's what they say. You can survive. And that 0.9 is the people that don't survive the treatment. It has nothing to do with the actual disease.
No, that's a mixed metaphor. That's a mixed.
Yeah, I think so. Dr. Jeff, what are you doing to my man? You doctors, you there. He was okay before you went after him.
You know what I say about keeping away from doctors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this case, we are definitely to the point where the cure may be worse than the disease. So we have a cup of coffee. Thank you, Leo. And JB, where are you today? You down in Texas?
Oh yeah.
Are you part of that deep freeze where they're telling us it's going to get so cold the trees are going to explode?
I don't think we're going to get that cold, but it's going to get cold for Texas.
Get cold for Texas. Yeah, I guess a lot of the country is down in like really hugely below zero kinds of temperatures. I mean, serious cold snap.
Yeah, our high is 14 today here. So
14
and that's not the coldest it's going to get. They're talking about tomorrow and Sunday. It could be like a high of 2. So
I recommend coming here. It's really lovely. I don't know about the rest of you. Oh my, yeah, we're gonna chill it out tonight. I think at about 74. So I'd highly recommend it. We'll have Leah here in a moment. She briefly came in with a cup of coffee. I don't know if she's going to be joining us for more than that. It's been a fairly stressful time for Leah. I thought that today we'd just go ahead and jump into the middle of the wildfire, but I set it up for a vote, and the last vote tally that I counted was 3-2 in favor of mushing through the rest of Isaiah 57, of which I think we're 3 or 4 verses from being done with it, as opposed to jumping into what will be probably the most surprising plot twist, certainly that we have encountered in 24 years of doing this.
Yes, we wimped out.
You guys did. Yeah.
Can we change my vote?
We wimped out. So, yeah. JB, I didn't get your vote. Maybe you didn't see it in time, and Dr. Jeff didn't get yours. So that may have changed things somewhat, but we'll do that. What we're hinting at here is something we've been hinting at for quite some time, which is that my lovely wife directed my attention to the final marshal which is a word picture. It'd be the 31st proverb. About a week ago, if that, maybe even a day or two shy of a week ago, and she says, you may want to take a look at this because it really is quite different than anything we have ever considered before. And in addition to 31, and she came for a little visit, and she says, I'm going to hand you a little piece of paper here. I've got 5 Towrah addresses on it, and they begin with the 31st mashal, and then there's 4 Mizmowr that help to explain what the terms are in it. And it says, I think I know what this is saying, and you may want to take a look at it. Oh my goodness. And it's not just that the final mashal is overwhelming. I mean, overwhelming. It's the text to it that blow it away. It's stuff that I never thought I would see anything this explicit, this clearly masked, veiled, so that no one saw it. And it's
Right.
Every time we turn over a new word or a new reference to it, it's right there in your face, bold. I mean, just screaming at you. That well, there's a few of you who are in on the discovery, and we have been hinting at the fact that we're going to go here. And for those of you who are trying to run ahead with scissors and are trying to translate the 31st proverb, I wish you all good luck with that, because you ain't going to understand the terms of it unless you read all of the back text. And the back text starts all the way back in Genesis 2. Yep, Genesis 2. It runs all the way through it from the very beginning, and it actually overlaps a conversation that Yahowah had with my wife before she sent me her first email 18 years ago. And turns out that Yahowah was pretty consistent in his style. He yanked her chain big time. He said, go ask Ruth, and wait till you find out what Ruth said. Yep. Or the fact that I thought I was being so clever to rename her. She said, I want to distance myself from my past. I'd like you to choose a new name for me. And so I did. I chose Leah. And wait till you hear what Leah says. People will call her. And then you read this mashal, and it'll literally blow you away. And it's all been there. It just didn't seem even remotely plausible that could be the plot twist, but it is the ultimate one. But for those of you who want to know where we're going, you can blame these guys here for wimping out. No. They all voted. They all voted. They wimped out.
I think
no. We're not going to go
I think
there.
it deserves.
We're going to.
It deserves its own series.
They're saying it deserves its own series,
Well,
and shouldn't be started in our elongated series called. This is Family Hour. This would now be returning to the garden. Sorry to tell you, but the earliest opportunity to hear it now will be on Monday, because we are in the mode now of recognizing that we need to reach the end with this. And so far, Yahowah hasn't found anybody that got the job done all the way to the end. Even the best of them crashed and burned. And so we're not going to take that risk. And part of not taking that risk is we're taking a little time off to recharge. Now, our time off is different than other people's time off. Our time off means that rather than sharing, which is a part of us giving back of what we're learning, we spend 14 hours on the days that are our days off, translating and writing and commentating on Yahowah's testimony. So that's how we spend our days off. We're more fortunate than most in that regard. We get to have super fun that way. So anyway, we will attend to it on Monday.
Well,
And-
you like to say there's a lot to unwrap.
Well, there's a lot to unwrap
Wow.
on
Wow,
this.
there's a lot.
Yeah, every
unwrap.
time you
And
turn
Leia
around.
just keeps
and
piling
you know,
it
and
on.
I think it was you, Kirk, that says it deserves a show on a show on its own. And my response back to you, yeah, like 40 of them. by the time we get to the bottom of this one, yeah, it's even wraps all the way through. There's at least 4 Mizmowr that are completely dedicated to it, and some of them are long. And one of them where Dowd does a complete crash and burn. I mean, oh my, his first response to all of this is not very good. And then after that, we have one that is really quite good, that he came around and he got it. But we also have to tell the whole story, why Dowd was in this mess. And that's 11 chapters of 2 Samuel. From the moment that this happened, nothing happened good in Dowd's life. Nothing. I mean, it was over. It was a spiral into oblivion. And so something had to get the man out of his funk. And what we're going to discover, I think, is one of the, just as the preamble to it, is one of the great discoveries ever. Because what we discover, what we learn by this, is that it all goes back to the garden. There are 3 things that God expects of us: to be observant, to respond and engage, and to be reliable. And he expects those things of us. And if you're not willing to give him those things, you are not going to be part of the Shavuot harvest. You're not going to be part of the Towrah gleaning. You are not going to make it out of the garden. You might make it into the garden, but you're not making it out of the garden. These are bottom line prerequisites for a ongoing relationship with Yahowah. And what we're going to find is that no one can save, God himself cannot save someone by himself. He cannot and will not do it. The only people who receive the benefits of the covenant are those who are observant, they are responsive and engage, and they are resilient. And they may make many, many mistakes. That's not a big deal with God. He doesn't care. But they're responsible so that when they do fall, they get back up. They learn from their mistake and are better for it. So it is quite the eye opener as to even what happened with Dowd, because he was in a timeout that he was not going to get out of, and God couldn't resolve it. God himself could not resolve the problems associated with Dowd. He had to have someone intervene. And
A gift.
he had to send his beloved son a gift. And his beloved son speaks of Yahweh's gift quite often. And he never speaks of that gift as his. He speaks as that gift as being given to him by God. And there is somebody that, well, it's actually 2 people that read the King, the Riot Act. Dr. Jeff, you are really spinning right there, and we're seeing you just move all over the place. I'm hope that's, like you're not flying away or anything. Oh, we can't even hear him now, and he can't hear us, I don't think. I think we have serious issues with Dr. Jeff, and we're losing JB on a regular basis. So we have Dr. Jeff sitting in front of a window where we can't even see his face. All we see is the light behind him. So that's not working at all, Jeff, if you can hear us. And JB, we're losing your feed. All right. So with the boys having wimped out, we do have Leia here, so we can bring her into the show. And we're going to start with the 57th chapter of Yeshaya. I think we're at the 19th statement. It has turned out really to be quite a celebration, in the sense that the 57th chapter of Isaiah is something we turn to because I felt that it was important that I affirm that when we're talking about the Shabuah harvest, that while God uses many metaphors, and his favorite for the Shabuah harvest is mature grain, standing grain. That would be grain that represents individuals who are grown up and mature in their relationship with Yahowah, and who are standing and still in the field, so that they're upright, taking a stand, and still engaged in this harvest. And what I wanted to prove is that while God used those as metaphors, those are metaphors. They're symbols. The harvests are obviously of souls. I don't think there's going to be a lot of them. I think that as God continues to share with us what he's trying to achieve, and why he foreclosed on the garden, because Adam was lethargic. Adam was not responsive. He was not observant. And he certainly was not reliable. We're beginning to get a feeling that really God's not looking for a whole lot of people, not expecting a whole lot of people. He actually has very high standards. Now, that might sound a bit strange, since here we are representing him, and you might say, well, you guys don't look like much to me. Leah, as the exception. Well, she is going to be the exception, because of what God said about Leah is beyond what he's saying about any of us. I'll tell you that by a long shot. But the fact of the matter is, God is absolutely uncompromising on the three things that we must do for him to be able to save us. And they are to be observant, to be responsive, and to be responsible. And if you're not going to meet those obligations, expectations of Yahowah, he's not letting you off this planet, because there's just way too much harm that you could do. You could mess up heaven because you go off on a bender of some sort, literally a bender. You could mess up the Gan Eden. You could make life miserable for the rest of us by being a dependent. God's looking for people that are willing to roll up their sleeves, go to work, pay attention to what's happening around them. And he is particularly fascinated with characters who have character, which means that he's absolutely and unequivocally not looking for perfection. And Dr. Jeff, if you can hear us, when you're against that window or light, it doesn't work at all, because all we see is a black face, a silhouette of a face. So you have to be exactly the opposite of what you are. You have to have your back to. That's much better. Oh yeah, now we can see you. You're a handsome guy when you're not ghosted. There we are. Okay. I'm going to play director too. I can multitask. I've been demoted by Yahowah to beneath my wife in terms of overall importance, and I'm delighted to announce that. In every place except in our relationship, I still get a high marks in that. But now I'm going to take over roles of stage setting. All right. So that is a fascinating thing, that God's not the least bit interested in our perfection. In fact, I think he would say, no, I have no interest whatsoever in being around somebody that hasn't made mistakes and learned from them, who hasn't stumbled and fallen and gotten up and been stronger and more resolute as a result of it. So we don't have to worry about imperfections. What we need to worry about is resolve and determination and consistency and all the kinds of things that God is, that he must see in us if he's going to take us off this planet and enrich us and empower us and allow us to travel around the universe. And because we're going to have the opportunities literally to conceive life. We're going to have the opportunity to have entire galaxies as putty in our hands, and to travel the full breadth of this universe, and then enter Shamayim and be eternal, right at God's side, greatly empowered and enriched. And so it's going to take a lot God to say, all right, I'll trust you in that regard. And once he makes the decision, I think the decision is irreversible in the sense of once you have received your elevation via Shabbat or Towrah, or graduate out of the 1,000-year celebration of Sukkah, where we return to the Garden of Eden and we're instructing people. We're actually existing as exemplars for them.
If I may, husband.
Yes, go ahead, Miss
I
Amma.
don't think anything is irreversible because Hashem was thrown out of Shamayim.
Yeah, I do think that. I think Shamayim is irreversible. He was programmed to do what he did and is doing.
He's a
and he will
Karub,
continue. Yeah, he will continue to follow that programming, and he's a Karub. He's not a human. No, I think that once you are elevated on Shabbat or Towrah, once are those that were received the benefit of Bakurim. Anyone who graduates out of the garden experience, you're good to go for forevermore. That's why the screening process is so extensive between now and then.
I don't even know that Hasatan would have had an opportunity. No neshama.
Yeah, no neshama.
Without a neshama. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have a soul either. So there's no soul to envelop in energy. He is a form of light energy, but the difference is with a Karub, and the Karub is just a subset of the Malachim, the spiritual messengers. And as a spiritual messenger, as a Karub, he doesn't have free will, so he's not making choices. And he is a tool. Mm-hmm. And my conclusion with him is that he was programmed to do precisely what he's doing. He's a tool to be used in this regard. All the Malach are tools. And I that might sound like a pejorative, but it isn't. To be a tool used by Yahowah is a very good thing. I refer to myself as a dented and dirty implement that Yahowah's managed to use in a productive way. To be a tool in God's hand is a good thing. But there is a difference in that we are vastly less powerful than the Malach. Mm-hmm. We are mortal until God changes that. Otherwise,
and highly flawed.
So our lives are much shorter. We have physical bodies, at least initially. They do not. But it's the thing that makes us interesting is our human flaws and character and ambition and choice in how we respond. A Malach doesn't have a choice. God says, I want you to go do this, go do that. Now, Malach are exceedingly important to us. Without the Malach, we would not be here. Yeah. Now, the Malach are not nearly as important as Yahowah's Ruach, which empower the words that you're hearing in this whole investigation that we do in terms of Yahowah's testimony and sharing it with you. But the Malach are the ones that keep us alive. They perform they have the responsibility of protecting those who speak for Yahowah. So they are just like the Karub. Hasatan was a Karub, which means he was one of those Malach guarding the walls of Gan Eden. First to keep Adam and Chawah safe from the humans outside the garden, and then to keep them from re-entering the garden and having access to the trees again. So they're a very different kind of a construct, Miss Leah. So I think it is once in, always in. But Leah, you're going to be the mother of heaven. So
Oh, God.
well, certainly the mother of the children in heaven. Actually, the more I read about this, I'm going to keep on going back to it. We might as well just go into it, if I keep on going back to it. But
the man cannot keep a secret to save his life.
She is.
How did I know?
Yeah, she is called Ashar, and as Ashar, that means beneficial and blessed.
Beneficial to the relationship.
Yeah, so beneficial to the relationship and blessed as a result. And the most common title is Amma. and Amma is actually should be pronounced Emma, and M is mother, and Ah would expand all of the feminine attributes of mother, and in those roles she is cast, and she is cast overwhelmingly. So this is one of the things that all those that say, "Oh my God, it can't be her. I don't like her," or she said something I don't like, or no way, she's Jewish. I don't like Jews. I mean, whatever it is that's caused people to say that, I don't like Leah. Well, this is going to be a dish of crow, because the evidence for this is far greater than the evidence that I thought was overwhelming for the roles that I have been playing. It's actually more prevalent still. So it's going to be a lot. But what we've kind of come to, the only way we've come to be able to deal with this, because it does have us together, is that our role is actually going to be as examples.
Mm-hmm.
That's our role. Your role is, you guys are going to be the teachers and the guides and the guardians of Eden. You have, that's going to be your job. So you're
whoa! They are also princes.
Well, yeah, you are, but you will be princes. That's absolutely true. You're gonna report.
So with responsibility comes reward.
You're gonna report right up the chain, probably to Dowd himself. But we're not in that chain. Mm-mm. I thought I was a step below Dowd in that chain. That's kind of how I figured I was gonna go from being the one reflecting his light today to just serving as his herald thereafter. Doesn't appear that that's the case. We're going to be mom and dad. We're an example of what God's trying to reflect. So it means that our learning, our teaching, the way we engage, the way we talk about Yah, to Yah, the way we counsel and work with Dowd, the way we live among the people, it gets right down to modeling what God conceived as the covenant relationship.
But it is to have parents who care.
Yeah, parents that care. That's it. But parents that don't just care in the sense of, I will love you no matter what.
No.
It's, I love you, so I'm going to tell you the truth. That was a really dumb decision you made. And if you don't get your act together, there's going to be real trouble. Leah gives Dowd a major dressing down. Major. Yeah,
I don't have a problem dressing men down because I know what they're capable of.
Mm-hmm. So it's a really interesting, as I say, we keep on hinting at it because it's the 800-pound bull in the room, but this is the heifer for sure. Okay, so I promise we got voted, and we're going to go back to Isaiah 57 because the boy said so. Yehudim are on the verge of
Craig and Leah. Just be ruthful.
Be ruthful. Yeah.
That's cute.
Oh, Dr. Jeff.
Very punny. Very punny.
Very funny.
So, but you may have already snuck a preview of that. And here we go right back to the same material. But for those that don't know, 18 years ago.
You were throwing that fastball down. You threw the fastball down the middle.
I did. And you're being ruthful.
Yeah.
18 years ago.
You guys have the best trust fund. Yeah. The best trust fund in the universe.
It is the best trust fund in the universe. So to be ruthful, Leah, 18 years ago.
No, it was 20.
Oh, well.
20.
Okay.
Yep. November 2004.
I first met you 18. So
okay.
Then you were slower on the switch than you've been saying. She and she's, by the way, she's time blind. So we have to be very careful. She has an anniversary party that she told me to invite the guests for tomorrow, and that her invitation says Sunday. So we are time blind, and we do have to work through that. But I'm going with 18 years ago because that's how long I have known her. She asked Yahowah what he wanted from her. You know, she says, my people obviously have everything screwed up regarding you. I really would like to know who you are. I'd like to know if I have a role in that you want me to play. I need to know the truth, because when I went to the rabbis, they put a hand up my skirt, and I figured that's probably not the right place to go. And you told me not to go to the Goyim. So
Where do I go?
where do I go? So that's what she asked Yahowah. Oh, and Yahowah, ever the clever one. He responded to her.
In a
It's
dream.
something that she has told me. Now, I bet if she's told me once, she's told me 1,000 times.
Yep.
Yahowah said, go ask Ruth.
I was like, Ruth? Who's Ruth?
Who's
I didn't
Ruth?
even know.
Ruth.
Didn't
Go
know.
ask Ruth.
Didn't know.
So I decided today that I would go look up what Ruth said, because that's who she was supposed to ask. So when you turn to it, it is in the 3rd chapter of Ruth and the 9th verse. What you find is that this very strong and powerful man, his name is Boaz.
Because
Does
he's
that name ring a
strong.
bell to you? It means with
Oh, yeah.
strength and in power. Yeah, Boaz would marry her. He would. Boaz is also the left, not the right, the left pillar of the house for Yahweh's name.
The two standing right outside the
Yeah.
door.
You know how tall it is? That's
33 cubits.
I know, 18.
18.
18 cubits. And do you know what Amma means? Cubit. You know how long we've been together? At least corresponding. Some
Yes.
that date that she said go ask Ruth, 18
18.
years. 18 years. All right. So that's Boaz, the left column of the tabernacle. And he doesn't know Ruth from Adam. He says, who are you? Who are you? She says, well, now that you asked, I'm Ruth. Now, do you know what Ruth means?
No.
It
I don't
means
even know what it means. No.
longing to be a shepherd that nurtures and feeds the flock. Do you know what Leah did in the 8 years before I met her in person? She was a shepherdess.
Oh, yeah.
So that's so Ruth is
So ridiculous.
wanting to
Like
longing,
literally.
yes,
Not figuratively.
not figuratively,
Literally.
shepherdess.
I was growing sheep.
She was.
Yeah.
So Ruth quite simply means longing to nurture
Love sheep.
and feed the flock. And my name's Ruth. I am your Amma. I am your Amma. That means mother of mothers, motherly servant, most feminine of mothers.
She who is hidden.
So I am Amma. Also means cubit, the measure of a mother. That's what she said. Now, every time that Dowd says, oh, thank you, Yahowah. You saved me, man. I was in real trouble. I was about to face the ultimate punishment for my own guilt. And you sent me your Amma. Ruth saying, I'm the Amma. And then she said, I'm the Amma because by way of branding and mark, I'm delivering your kinsman redeemer to you. That's what she said.
Now you know why I'm such a stickler for branding.
Yeah, there you go. Why she's such a stickler for branding. It's yep, I am branded as the one who is delivering your kinsman redeemer to you. That would be Dowd, who needed some redeeming himself to be before he could be delivered. And you go and you say, okay, God, that was really clever. But okay, so then the next thing I did is I looked up Leah. because that's I thought the name was a lovely name. It was close enough to Lisa. She said, I don't want to be Lisa anymore. Come up with a name for me. I want you to rename me. And I said, okay, you'll be Leah Wynn. And he said, yeah, I like that name. That's a good name. That was the mother of Yahuwd. And I said, good, your name is now Leah. So what does Leah say? She says, I'm Leah. I will be known. I will be called. I will be celebrated as
Ashar.
Ashar. What is the 31st Mashal caller? She is the Ashar. Ashar is the exact same spelling as Asher.
Mm-hmm.
Benefit to the relationship. She says, I'll be known as the one who is seen as blessed for having delivered the benefits of the relationship. And you go, okay, God, that was pretty clever. I don't know how you came up with that one and stuck it in my brain, but that was pretty clever too. And what do you think Leah means? It speaks of a woman who is a shepherdess. And if you look at it, it is the shepherd's staff with love as the suffix, a loving shepherd. Okay, that's pretty clever too. In fact, it's a shepherdess that is standing beside her bull. If you just want to look at the letters, Kirk. So there's no reason to go into that material at all because there's really no insights, nothing to learn from here, nothing to see here.
Nope.
Those are not the drones you're looking for. Nothing to be seen here.
Great teaser for next time.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
I appreciate you setting that up, Dr. Jeff. All right. It says the firstborn. Yes. You're going to draw us back in if it's okay. Yes, sir. What were you going to say there, Dr. Jeff? I don't think he can hear us. Yeah, he went silent. All right.
I want to say one quick thing, if I may.
Sure.
You notice I've drawn most of y'all in pencil,
I can hear you. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
but I did an
No,
oil.
can you hear me
for her.
now?
That's fun. It's funny. Yeah, he's. I've got my picture. In fact, it's up. It's Leah stole the one of me, and I stole the one of her, of course. So, the one of me is drawn in pencil, which means it could be erased. But it's. I love it. It's one of my favorite pictures ever. And, yeah, you're a pencil drawer, and you're. That's actually how you began as an artist, drawing people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And with Leah, though, the picture that you have
full
painted of
Mandela.
Leah, yeah, man, it's done in oil, and of course, oil would be symbolic of the spirit, and it's permanent as opposed to just and full color and everything else. So
bit,
yes,
All the sparkles.
oh yes, all sparkled, yes.
well, honey, you're painted in color on my heart.
Oh,
so
I'm
don't
painted in
worry
color
about
on her
it.
heart. That's lovely. I love that.
Wow,
It's true.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah.
Y'all will make it.
Oh my. So here, the fruit born of the lips, conceived and brought into existence for reconciliation and restoration from the one from a distant place and for the one who is estranged. Therefore, from the one who is now near and closely related, and for the one whose approach is imminent, says Yahowah. Then at that time, I will heal him by promoting restoration. That's Isaiah, Yashayah, 57:19. So what are we to make of this? So God's beginning by saying that the fruit that matters most is the fruit that is born of the lips. Words.
Mhm.
God's saying that words are the most productive, fruitful things that exist. And I would agree. When a word takes root and grow, we come to know and understand. It's the foundation of all relationships. It's the cause of thought. It's the most productive implement ever is language. So the fruit born of the lips, that is how we become productive. Is conceived and brought forth into existence for the purpose of reconciliation. Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. But we have Jeff on a very long delay of some sort.
I was going to say that since day one, since I've known you, the mantra you've had is that you've always said, wield your words wisely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are the ultimate weapon. Wield words wisely. It is.
Do you remember the name for you? Before?
The bookworm.
No, I'm the bookworm. You're the silkworm.
Silkworm. Well,
because
yeah, silkworm.
you could weave a word into a beautiful turn of phrase.
Yes, into silk.
Mm-hmm.
We love words. We have ever since the first word that we translated 24 years ago. That would be 6 years before I met Leah. The first word I translated is her name. Ashar.
Asher.
Yeah.
Funny. It's Doug's first, and the first thing he says and the last thing he says is Ashar.
It's the first and the last thing said in the final mashal as well. All right, so the fruit born of the lips is conceived and brought into existence for the purpose of reconciliation and restoration. It's God's prime objective. We didn't cut it in the garden. Adam was a failure. Can't blame it on Chawah. Everybody wants to blame Eve.
Oh yeah.
But can't blame it on Chawah.
No.
God gave up on mankind while there was just man. In fact, Chawah was conceived because God was exiting the picture. And he wanted to give Chawah a woman who would be supportive of him because God was no longer going to be. And it was because Adam failed on the three things that we've talked about. He was not observant, he was not responsive, and he was definitely not reliable.
He was spineless and thought with his other head.
Yep. So at that moment, we were kicked out of the garden and joined the rest of the Nephilim, which was just perfect. But God's got a way with words. He said that he caused the fall of man, and ultimately he exited mankind out of the garden to be with the rest of the Nephilim, the fallen. That's what Nephilim means. It's always been translated, not translated, but rendered giants. There were giants in the land. No, there were Nephilim, the fallen. Well, who left the? What is the whole concept of leaving the garden? You fell. It's God called the fall of man, and the people outside the garden were the Nephilim. And it does show that God is absolutely capable of making a mistake, which is why he is not judgmental of us for making mistakes. It's one of the great travesties of religion for corrupting that concept. God actually celebrates our mistakes because that's the only way that we have to prove that we can be trusted and are reliable is by making a mistake and giving the opportunity to correct it and learn from it. So this is really an important insight here. But ever since that time, we've languished in a fallen state.
Yes.
And it's one of the great pet peeves I have with Israel and with Jews. They should be, of course, Yehudim, but they're not. They call themselves Jews. because they don't want to be associated with Yah. They erased his name. And that is, they all brag about being Torah observant. You know, they've seen them, they dress up the Torah like it's a whore and put a little crown on it and little dingle balls and bells. And have you ever seen the little coffins they make for the Torah?
Oh, yeah.
And the way they kiss it. And I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times, Dr. Jeff.
It's vile.
It's just vile. And they claim to be Torah observant, but they're not. They're Talmud observant.
They kiss it, they hug it, and they take their tzitzit and kiss the tzitzit.
Yeah. And of course, the tzitzit is not a tassel, and it's not to be worn on the outside of one's clothing. We've also learned that as well. It is a flax flower, and it's to be hidden inside of your garment such that it reminds you of Pesach, Matzah, and Bakurim as the flax flower and of the linen that it would produce. But that's getting a little far from our story. The thing about the Torah that is my pet peeve, and I have a pet peeve with it, is the way the Jews respond to the Torah. Because they pretend that the Torah is this whore that is theirs to parade around with and fondle. But actually, the Torah besmirches Jews. It says that Jews are obnoxious. It says that they're irascible. It says that their religion has estranged them from God. You know, Jews actually didn't begin with Abraham, but he wasn't a great exemplar. He pimped Sarah out twice for sheeps. That's not a good start. And Yishak was easily fooled by his wife, which not a very pretty episode, and he wants to bless Esau, and instead he blesses Jacob, and through trickery. And then we find this fight between brothers, twins, that becomes a mess. And when Jacob finally goes off and he gets married, and again, we're dealing with Babylonians now, and they're marrying Babylonians. I mean, they specifically went to Haran to marry closely related Babylonians, and they left Babylon. So we're all dealing at the beginning with all Babylonians, and he, ends up wanting Rachel and gets Leah. Doesn't like Leah. Treats Leah like crap. And then he's played for the fool by Laban. Literally played for a fool, not once but twice. Buys right into it. Doesn't have any backbone. Won't stand up. Won't do any of this. And is a miserable husband initially. And, but he ends up having the 12 children of Israel. And in that process, what we find is that right from the beginning, they're obnoxious. I mean, they are obnoxious, the stuff that they do. And those are the first Israelis. And it doesn't get any better. They sell a brother into slavery. They become slaves. God then says, okay, it's time to rescue you because you're about to undergo genocide. And I made a promise. And, this whole human experience thing, it's not working out very well, but I made a promise and we're going to see it to the end. And so I'm going to come and liberate you from slavery. That's what I'm going to come do. And I'm going to do it through Moshe, the man that you treated very badly when he tried to protect you. And from that point on, they have about 15 minutes where they're decent over 40 years. Maybe it's a slight exaggeration. Maybe they were decent for 30 minutes over 40 years. But, you'd be hard-pressed to find more than 30 minutes where the children of Israel were decent to God or to Moshe over a 40-year period. They were obnoxious. And the story is one horrible event after another. And so to be holding the Torah up and say, boy, we're going to celebrate the Torah, if you're Jewish, you ought to be crying. You were terrible and you haven't improved. And the whole story is don't be religious. And they continue to be religious. Listen to Yahowah. And they told Yahowah to shut up and go away. Of course, it's probably the single most important line in all of the Torah is God's response. When they told Yahowah, we don't want to hear from you again. We don't want to see you again. don't want to ever hear your voice again. We don't want to ever see your fiery light again. We want Moshe to speak to us. The very man that they turned around and said, we want to stone to death, by the way. So that's not like they liked Moshe. And you know what God's response was?
He said, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says,
It works for me.
It works for me. It's far more beneficial. And of course, you could take the attitude that you guys just shared, which is the one that I have shared previously, and say, yeah, that works for me because you guys are obnoxious and I have no interest in being around you anyway. You stink to high heaven. And that I'm sure is true. But what he really said was that's a far more productive and beneficial path to follow. And the reason is that God is too far beyond us for almost 99.9999% of humanity to relate to. That's why Yahweh couldn't solve the conflict with his son Dowd. When Dowd went AWOL, and once he had far more than 17 wives and sexual partners at the time, and he decided that he would, for some reason, he needed another. And it was a very, very good man's wife. And he didn't want her for any other reason than she was pretty. Mm-hmm. And so he took her. And she got her pregnant. And then to try to cover up his crime, he brought her husband, who was a very good man, back from a battle. So that he was hoping that she and he would, spend the night together, and that he could blame the child, who's going to look a lot like Dowd, on him. And he wouldn't do it. He says, I can't do that. My men are out fighting a battle, living in tents. And for me to enjoy a night with my wife while my men are out there in tents fighting to save the kingdom and for the king and for the covenant and for the Ark of the Covenant. He says, I can't do that. That wouldn't be appropriate. So he slept on the floor. And so Dowd, rather than recognizing this is an extraordinary man, boy, they don't get any better than this. He went to the man's father. And he told the man's father to set him up to die. I want you to send him into the teeth of the enemy. And as soon as he confronts the most fierce fighters, I want you to retreat and abandon him so that he dies. He did. And then Dowd didn't acknowledge what he had done, or that he had a man's father kill him. He took Bathsheba and got her, took him as his wife, and God was none too pleased. So
on the
when
seventh day,
that happened,
died.
Pardon?
On the seventh day, that child died.
Yeah. So what happened was God was disgusted by it, and he already was not on talking terms with Dowd. What most people don't know is the last 14 years of Dowd's first life, he and God didn't talk. And Dowd was a lousy king, a lousy father, a lousy husband, a lousy person for a good portion of his life. That's why the intervention, and God couldn't resolve it. The reason God couldn't resolve it is he couldn't overlook it and maintain any sense of decency. And he couldn't compromise himself to be in the presence of that. He loved his son, but he was not in a place to resolve it. God had made a commitment all the way back with Moshe and the children of Israel that he would work through people. And so since while we are in the flesh, and it obviously was true with Dowd, God is so much greater than we are that for almost all of us, he's just simply too far out there. Infinitely greater in dimensions, infinitely greater in longevity and power and intellect, such that very few people can relate to him.
And for those of you who think that we should dumb it down, I assure you, Yahweh's already dumbing it down.
Oh, of course. He's dumbed it down as far as he can dumb it down.
That's right.
And there's just that much of a difference. And And so God can't really relate to us and solve these kinds of issues until he elevates us to a point where we're the same number of dimensions and we have greatly enhanced capabilities. But he can't do that until we show that we can be trusted with all of that. So it's really in a catch-22 in this regard. And so he had a real problem with his beloved son. And in a normal circumstance, he would have just said, goodbye, we have another failure. Just like Adam and finally with Moshe, Moshe gave up. He gave up on Moshe. We have another failure. I'm as good as we can do, and it wasn't good enough. But if Dowd doesn't get his act together, the whole human experience is over. Mm-hmm. The planet is dust. None of the Moedim get fulfilled. There is no means to escape this planet alive, and there is no human who is going to ever make it to heaven. And so there's a lot riding on that man. And God knew what was riding on him, and he knew this was going to happen, and he began to discuss it all the way back in the second chapter of Bereshith, Genesis, because it was so serious. But God has to interact with us while we're still in the flesh through an intermediary, one of our own. That's why he called Moshe. And that's why the whole story of the 31st Mashal exists, because somebody had to get Dowd's attention, and it had to be another human. And there weren't any other humans at the time that could get the job done. So he brought one back in time.
Who is the only person that could speak to power?
That could do what?
That could speak to power. That could speak to a king.
His
Many kings are drunk on their own power.
Yeah, they are.
But they never respect their wives.
No.
No.
Well, Dowd didn't have wives he could respect.
No, that is true.
His wives were all terrible.
That is true. But there is one who would give him good counsel.
No, but one
And
that
that would be
supplies.
that would be the mother.
But not his mother, not his birth mother. His birth mother was meaningless. He never knew her. We don't know her. He didn't know her.
No.
And so the mother that Yahowah supplies is one that Yahowah supplies is Yahowah's Amma. Not Dowd's Amma, but Dowd's finally understands by the final Mizmowr, oh, yeah, you've sent her to be a mother to me. That's what I needed. And what we're going to find out is that what's really interesting from the 51st Mizmowr is that Dowd had such horrible experiences with women. His mother abandoned him. Mm-hmm. His first wife is Michael and Michael, and she
was horrible.
She plays a trick on her father to protect Dowd initially, and says that she loves him, but that she gets caught. Her father pimps her out to another man. So we've already got a messed up marriage there. When he dies and Dowd takes her back, he's stealing now another man's wife. And the man turns out to be this really wimpy crybaby of a guy. But Dowd takes her from another man at this point. And she then had no respect for him. And we know what she does at the end. She is the one who besmirches him. And the next one is Abigail, and her story is that Dowd was trying to kill her husband. Dowd had done her husband some kind of favor and decided that he deserved a favor in return and wanted to be given supplies. And the man said, "No, I don't want to give you any supplies. I'm not going to do that." And so Dowd thought, well, the way I'm going to handle this, I'll just go kill him and I'll take the supplies. And she intervened on behalf of her husband and said, "No, I'll give you the supplies. Don't kill him." And a few days later, he mysteriously dies, and she becomes Dowd's wife. And the next one gives birth to his first son,
The rapist.
who grows up to rape his daughter, his sister. And his second son murders his first son for raping his sister, Dowd's daughter. And Dowd didn't do anything in either case. And after that, it just spiraled out of control. And so Dowd was on a real bender. I mean, we serve him. Our goal is to restore his reputation because he came out of it and he fulfilled Pesach Matzah Makotim, doing the greatest service in the history of humankind. And he's returning as king, and he's a lot smarter than he was. So our job is to restore his reputation. But before we could restore his reputation, someone had to restore his relationship with Yahowah. And that's what that 31st Mashal, the final word picture, is all about. So here we're talking about the fruit of the lips. We're making great progress on the 57th. We are, in a 2-hour program. We're probably going to get through these 3 verses that that was the challenge. Could we string out these last, few verses of the 57th chapter of Isaiah to make it a full program? And I think we're going to do that. So
there was never any doubt in my mind.
Amazing how that works.
I think you're going to learn that the fruit of those lips that are very flowery spoken of in Song of Songs are speaking of a certain individual specifically.
See, now she's drawing me back in.
Uh-huh.
You're reading it off and you don't understand it, sir.
There's a love story.
Thank you.
There's a love story that I have
within the love story.
Yes, that I have avoided because it was written by a man that I realized early in his life. He became king at 12. That's, by the way, we know that it was the last 14 years of Dowd's life that was radio silence with Yahowah, because he became king at 12, and he was born right after the son that he had with Bathsheba, while Bathsheba was married
and
to a man who, by the way, his name means light of Yah. Yah said, I just want you to know that boy's going to die. And sure enough, within days, he died. And Dowd's response to that was miserable, by the way. And so Solomon, it turns out, according to Leah's analysis, and thus far as it relates to this story of Ruth and Leah and the Amma and Ashar, has been way ahead of me and everyone else. It is now her conclusion that the Song of Songs is actually Solomon, while he is quite young, still remembering what his father told him about this meeting with this woman who came to be the surrogate mother for Dowd and resolved his father's relationship issue with Yahowah. And the song is to her and
to them.
Actually, to them, the husband and wife, because that's how they're presented in the 31st Mashal. And so the song, from her perspective, and I have not verified this, but she hasn't missed a trick so far, is actually...
It's the metaphor. Women are better at metaphors than men.
They are. Yeah, women are better at metaphors, I think, than we are. And Yahowah speaks in all metaphors, so you've got to be pretty good at them. And I've become skilled at them because I've spent 24 years studying them. So part of my future here is going to be the Song of Songs. What do you guys think about that one?
Yeah, and it's one of those I really did not like and poo-pooed and was very negative towards.
Me too.
And now I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'd always wondered why Yahweh called him wise, Chokmah, because what he did with his life was not very wise.
No.
But if you look at what Israel and Yehuda does with their life, it's not very wise. So intelligence is not everything, Mishpachah.
Yeah, and Solomon made the same mistake his father made.
Yeah. Oh, he compounded it.
Yeah. He made the same mistake. As a matter of fact, when the M, who is supplied to Dowd, begins her advice to him, the first thing she says, do you have any idea who you are? And she asked the question 3 times. Because that's what you got to get to the root of the issue is. Lots of kings have been bad. Lots of men have been bad. Been lots of men stealing other men's wives. Lots of men have had others killed. Lots of people have been bad. Particularly kings. But she begins by saying, do you have any idea who you are? I'm going to ask you 3 different times in 3 different ways. And I'm going to use a really unique word for son. And it isn't going to be Ben. It's going to be bar. And you need to understand the implications of bar. Do you have any idea who you are? Let me ask you again, because I didn't hear your answer. Who are you? Bar. You have any idea what bar represents and the promises associated with bar? Son?
It's also
and
used
then
in
the
Song
next
of
words out of
Songs.
her life. It isn't for you to allow everything you've been authorized to achieve and to give it away to a woman because of a woman. So here's the woman saying, don't you do that. You have to know what you represent. And for you to give all that up for a woman? No. And so it's really tough medicine. And the next thing's out of her lips is says, it's not for you to be a drunk. He was massaging his guilt with wine. He was escaping the pain with wine. She says, no. Let the people drink wine that are already lost. That way their misery won't hurt as bad. But it's not for you. You have a responsibility and you need a clear conscience. So it's pretty hot. We would go there. We actually were going to make this program about this, but the guys voted no. So here we are. The fruit born of the lips is conceived and brought into existence for reconciliation and restoration. So says the man who even Yahweh said was verbose. Even I guess it was Yashayah. Said was a talkative stick. By the way, I finally figured it out. And it wasn't until we were dealing with this material and Mashal 31 that I finally figured it out. The opening line of on the Towrah, and I've always thought that, and everyone assumed that he emerged from the root of Yeshe, of Jesse.
No,
it doesn't say that,
No.
But it actually says he's a replacement for Yeshe. Is a stand-up, stand-out replacement for him. Who was Yeshe?
Dowd's father,
Dowd's father. Oh, the Towrah is a
replacement.
A replacement. A stand-up, stand-out replacement for Dowd's father.
I can tell you one thing. He needed one.
Oh, boy.
The fathers that were, even Uriah's father was a disgusting POS.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we find in all of this is that Dowd had such a low regard for women. And for reasons that every woman that was in his life was terrible. From mom to every one of his wives. That when Leah showed up, she read him the Riot Act, and it got his attention big time. But his response is in the 51st Mizmowr, and he couldn't even bring himself to say Yahweh's name. And he is struggling with this in a mighty way, begging God for forgiveness. You don't beg God for forgiveness. What you do is as Lay would say, you suck it up, buttercup, you put on your big boy pants, and you get going. You got a responsibility, act like it.
That's right.
Sober up and get about your business.
Get your head in the
game. And get your head in the game. And he's just wallowing all over. Oh, save me, save me, save me. Oh, forgive me. No, can't even say it. And can't even say Yahweh's name. So he had a problem. She got his attention, big time. But it had to be a 1-2 punch. Somebody else had to go visit that boy and say, let me tell you something that, and this is going to be one of the most shocking discoveries of all. Dowd didn't figure it out. I did. He didn't figure out that he was the greater luminary. He didn't figure out he was the tree of lives. He didn't figure out that when God said, I'll provide the lamb, speaking of Abraham,
figure out what the bull was.
This is your, don't take the life of your only son, the son that you love, that he would provide the lamb. He didn't figure it out. I did. And I told him. And I said, now that's who you are. Are you going to get your act together? We're not talking about just your life here, pal. We're talking about everybody's life, mine included.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the survival of the planet. Let me go you through the whole story now. I'm going to tell you the whole story from beginning to end, because you wrote a lot of stuff. But guess what I don't see in your stuff? An analysis of who you are. Yeah, you parrot that you're the son and he's your father, but you know that he anointed you Messiah, but you haven't processed what he actually said. So we're going to go through it. I'm going to tell you exactly who you are, and it's time that you pay attention. And the 116th Mizmowr is the result of that meeting. So yeah, it's quite a story that we're going to get into tonight, but are not, because we're talking about the fruit born of the lips, conceived and brought forth into existence for reconciliation and restoration. Now, what follows here is just really interesting, because I'm taking a different tact on this than everyone else has as they have looked at this. So first of all, up to this point, what God has said is a nob, and nob means fruit born. It's words which are productive. They're cheerful and they're abundant. By the way, it would be interesting to see what this looks like, this program. We've changed our format here in the library studio, such that I still have my laptop here, and it's still below the camera, but we have this very inventive box that is called an inverter, that rather than having to run teleprompter software, which is so cumbersome, particularly since I'm so damn verbose and write so much, it's not designed for people that yabber as much as I do. So it was unable to handle that properly. So now we have entire books that this inverter will handle. It'll even handle the web pages. It'll handle the very programs that we're broadcasting here, live stream from StreamYard on it. And it reflects it through a super bright monitor from a laptop up into the mirror of a teleprompter. And now that Canon ProCam is sitting behind a mirror, as opposed to just being an eyeball that looks at me. Now I'm looking at a mirror that's reflecting text. And so we'll have to decide how that's looking. And we also, because of a show like this, and because of the vlog on the vlog, where we have all those images, and they're displayed on a monitor that's to the right of the teleprompter. We've moved the camera over. We may even try to lower it a bit and get it even further down. but we have lowered it or moved it as well. So we'll have to get some feedback as to whether or not this is a more effective approach in the studio. So in this case, we had the fruit born, and that's Nob, of the lips, which is Shava, speech, is conceived and brought forth into existence. This is the verb that Yahowah uses in Bereshith 1. That is, it's the verb that served as the basis of it all. It is bara, which means to create. So words create out of what would have been nothingness. A new beginning is brought forth into existence. The fruit of the lips. And reconciliation and restoration is from a doubling of shalom. It's shalom, shalom. So it would be the full extent of shalom. Shalom to the second power, if you will. Fellowship through redemption, friendship through relationship, contentment through salvation. And in 1Q ISAA, which is the great Isaiah scroll, there is one shalom, while in 1Q ISAB, the Septuagint and the Masoretic text, there are two of them. So I took a vote. I did exactly the same thing I did for the show. I took a vote to say, what material are we going to cover? We're going to cover the easy stuff or the really exciting stuff. And you guys all wimped out, chose the, not telling who voted for what. So here, I did the same thing. I took a vote, and it was 3-1. And so I doubled up on shalom. Okay. So it says.
Wait, before you go on.
Oh, okay. I was having fun.
Shalom. I know. Shalom. How many pillars are there outside the temple?
Well, there's two. Mm-hmm. One is Boaz.
And they both bring shalom.
Yeah, they do. Shalom. Okay. From the one, there's never a connection my wife doesn't love. From the one from a distant place, and for the one who is estranged. It's Laha Rokok. And it's always just, it's always rendered the one who is far and the one who is near. But
guess which one is which?
But I don't think it says that. I think what it says is from the one from a distant place and for the one who is estranged. So the fruit of the lips that provide reconciliation are coming from the one who is in a distant place. That would be the Nakar, right? The observant foreigner
and the one
from a faraway place.
And the one that's near.
And it's for the one who is estranged. All right? The one who is estranged is Yisrael.
And Yahuwah.
Therefore, from the one who is now near and closely related, and for those whose approach is imminent. So the one who is the Nakar, the distant foreigner, the observant foreigner from a land that's far away, is now near, because by the time we get to Shalom, he's hanging in the Temple Mount with his buddy Elia, speaking for Yahowah. So he is as near as you can be. He's in the heart of the land, isn't he? And he has been reaching out for those who are estranged, and he is now near and closely related to the one whose approach is imminent. Well, the one whose approach is imminent that he's closely related to would be Dowd. Mm-hmm. Right? And you could also say if Yahowah, but we'll keep it on human terms. He's closely related to Dowd. Yeah, super closely related. He's Dowd's replacement dad.
So, man of Edom, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Who is Esau's mother?
Esau's mother would be Rebecca.
Ribka. What does her name mean?
Lamb. Is it lamb? You?
She who shepherds.
She who shepherds. Okay. Well, I got both those right. You didn't even get a yeah, you got that right.
Yeah.
Good. Good job. You know,
Nice.
my job is supposed to be to ask you guys questions. I used to ask Rich questions, but he's has many more questions. I'm running this show.
I know how Rich feels. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. You can't do that.
By the way, Rich is playing injured tonight, so Rich may not even show you a picture of himself, although he's definitely here running the show. He's had a stomach virus of some sort or food poisoning. Or
you're not truly Caribbean until you get food poisoning.
Yeah. By the way, it was not Leia's food. We had Mexican.
Yeah, outside.
And our dunch yesterday, and
still
he picked it
going
up.
back.
Yeah, and so it could be that Maria's Cantina did him in, but we don't know. But he made it in here, making 3 tracks, and he's
doing better now.
He's doing better now. This is good. So we do have the wounded here. Thank you, Wookie. He's trying to wound me. He wants to jump up in my lap. So to jump up my lap in the chair, guess where he put his nails to jump up in the chair. Okay, so says Yahowah. So it's Yahowah who has provided all of this information. So I think it is there is Mr. Handsome himself, Mr. Wookie. That is not iced tea, buddy, and you don't like coffee unless it's cappuccino. And Leia might make you a cappuccino this evening. You never know. So the fruit of the lips, words, most powerful tools in the universe, are conceived and brought forth, bara, for reconciliation and redemption, shalom, shalom, from the one who has been in a distant place and on behalf of the one who is estranged. Therefore, from the one who is now near and closely related, and for those whose approach is imminent, or actually for the one whose approach is imminent, means we're doing this on behalf of Dowd, or so says Yahowah. If you disagree, you can take it up with him. Then, I wonder if God ever had a vote on what we're going to talk about next. Then, at that time,
highly doubtful.
I'm going to have no friends by the time this is over. These are all my friends. So
I like to keep our social circles small.
Oh God, Leia says we're going to keep
small is beautiful.
We're going to keep our social circles small. So this worked for an introvert, and I'm inverting back to introvert. So we're all going to be just fine. Then at that time, I will heal him by promoting restoration. Rapha, I will restore him. It would be like Dr. Jeff, who is probably off treating a patient right now, but Rapha is the good doctor. Mm-hmm. The doctor providing healing. I will restore him to favor. I will repair him to full health. I will renew him to his original state, mending the relationship with him. That is precisely what's going to happen. By the way, it's also happening. It did happen to Dowd too. So it's the Redeemer was redeemed.
Good as new.
Good as new. So it was a year ago in December of 2024 that in the midst of the rebellion that he had just censured and the preceding like 10 statements in Yeshaya 57, Yahweh asked me to migrate as quickly and as I was capable from the written word to the spoken word. And I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, it was literally a week or so, and we were vlogging. It was pretty primitive.
Going live.
Going live. But in fact, Facebook does a nice job of reminding you of what you posted a year ago, because I've only been doing, Facebook for just a month over a year, if not even a month beyond a year ago. And it brought up the first blog that we posted here in this studio. And then I had the big headsets on, the big thick glasses, and here we are, man. We're vlogger now. So we have come a long way. The host hasn't improved any, but our production quality certainly has over that period of time. So Yahweh asked us to do this as quickly as possible. We learned on the job. And by the way, that is the entire intent of all of this, is that we do learn on the job. we make mistakes and we learn from them, and we're better off because of them. And when we overcome an obstacle, God gives us the thumbs up and said, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to come out of the box and be perfect. If we were going to do that, and I'd speak directly to the people again, and they don't like that. Turns out people don't like being exposed to perfect. They get really uncomfortable with that. So we're going to speak to them, where they live, fellow flawed individual, and that'll work out just great. Some people will actually listen. So I was moved quickly from the written word to the fruit of the lips. This is the way he envisioned the fruit of the tree of knowledge being delivered. And it's disseminating right now out to the world at this time. So I complied, as is my custom. I'm not the sharpest rock that ever was tumbling down the hill, but I figured out really early in this process of working with Yahowah that if you listen to what he says and do what he asks, things usually work out pretty well. And anytime you struggle with that, things go south. That's the south side of a Wookiee going north. That's precisely what you get, is the south side of a Wookiee going north. And so that's what I did. He said, this is what I want you to do. And I said, all right, that'll be fine. So I complied. And 1,000 hours of live streaming later, God is delivering shalom, reconciliation by way of the Yahowah vlog. It's not that he told me, however, to stop translating or composing my thoughts, because the moment I did that, I would do the single greatest crime I could do to my consciousness and soul. I'd stop learning. If I stopped learning, I'd stop growing. And if I'm not learning and growing, I'm a really lousy example. I'm a terrible teacher, and I'm a lousy witness. So we're going to keep on translating. As I said, I get 2 days off. And on my 2 days off, that's what I do. I celebrate the relationship by translating. And, I think JB and Kirk, you're pretty much up to speed that the way that I translate is that I just don't read the words and say, all right, that word means this word means that. I look at every root, every similar word, every cognate. I strip them all of their diacritical marks and religiosity, try to get to the heart of it. I don't trust any definition that's presented in the lexicons. I go about validating whether the word is used that way, whether that's really the appropriate use of the word. The reason I'm so thrilled with Joe that the two of us recreated that Paleo-Hebrew alphabet so we could really convey what the thought was behind each of those letters, as I'm constantly looking at the letters themselves and saying, oh, well, that's what this name really means, or this word really means, based upon the letters that were used to write it. And then I do something that I just don't see in any English translation, and that is I'm devoted to trying to appreciate the conjugations, and particularly the conjugations that are less familiar. The two that are really familiar are the imperfect and the perfect. But there's the participle and the infinitive that convey the same concentrated and ongoing action, where the word becomes a verbal noun, an actionable title, if you will, like my name, Yada. And we're spending more time focusing on when those are being used and why they're being used to convey a word picture, because God loves titles and names that are highly descriptive of what he's trying to accomplish. And then we look at the stems to establish that relationship between the subject and the object of the action and the verb, because that's what the stems do. And then we're particularly keen to do something that Dowd was a real expert of. He pushed the threshold of this way beyond anyone else, which is to communicate using the moods. And Dowd would write a verb in first person and second person volition, so as to say, God, you and I are like mine. We both want this to happen. And so there's a lot that goes into those translations, and it strips the realization of the Hebrew that, somebody would say, well, I speak Hebrew and I read Hebrew, therefore I don't need your translations. Oh, yes, you do, because modern Hebrew is very far afield from the Hebrew of the Torah. So it's only about 20% of the words in modern Hebrew are Torah-based. The majority are either Talmud-based or they're English-based. And you're now moving out of a language that was presented in the fullness of time, where there wasn't any past, present, or future tenses, into a world that seems to demand that all verbs are stuck in time. And that doesn't convey all the nuances of those stems and conjugations and moods, nor strips the words of their religiosity through the diacritical markings of the Masoretes. And then does the research to look at the actionable root of each word and their closest cognates. And so I'm certain that you don't have, you can't read all of that into it without the kind of study that I've done over the last 24 years. So we'll spend that kind, we do that kind of study, and then we make the connections so that if Ruth's name is going to be mentioned, I'm going to tell you what Ruth's name means. And I'm going to tell you that the lexicons are wrong when they give it. I'm going to tell you what Leah's name really means, and the lexicons are all wrong when they define it. So, that's our, it's really our life. That's what we do. So we didn't stop that to do this. No. It's still the power behind this. And if we're going to fulfill the role that it looks like we're being cast in, which is a husband and wife, a mother and father, that model God's covenant on behalf of not only the king and his wife, who Leah gets to pick and dress and train, but also on behalf of everybody that makes it into the millennial celebration of Sukkah. So it's a more relaxed kind of thing. We get to be us, as opposed to having a line of authority underneath the king. We just get to be us and model the covenant the best we can. Kind of cool in a way. Certainly more relaxed. That means that you don't have any line authority, which is something that I have craved for a very long time. So as we are continuing to translate, we're learning, we're trying to put as much passion and spontaneity and conviction into these stream programs. That's the reason why we keep on trying to inject a little humor here and there and be as spontaneous as we can possibly be. Most of these programs are about 50% ad lib and about 50% we're sharing material that either I have just recently translated and beginning to analyze, like this material here, or the material that we're going to be returning to or moving towards in the final word picture. And some of it is in the books that have been available for a long time, but with a lot more insight, because every time we read this material, every time we consider it and look at the words, we see far more in them than we were able to see previously, which is the intent. That's how you continue to grow forevermore. That's why eternity is still going to be fun. So we'll continue to write books, even though the marginal utility of one more book is meaningless, other than it keeps these shows current and fresh.
Yeah, and
it keeps our mind fresh.
You get people have talked about in the past, can I get translations without the commentary? That's nonsensical. We have 3 programs going right now where we are working out of the 89th Mizmowr. Can you believe? I mean, we're talking about the 89th Mizmowr in one facet of it, and Messiah and Son. The 89th Mizmowr in this, okay? Yeah. Returning to the Garden, in the 89th Mizmowr, in all places of appalling Christianity, okay? Right.
They show you what the truth is by comparison to the lie. Right.
And they are all 100% applicable. Yes, I mean, it's not. Yeah. So absolutely, you cannot do this without the commentary.
Correct. No, you can't. The commentary is where the teaching is. The commentary is where the life is. The commentary is where the example is.
Where the dots are
You know,
connected.
the text has
Right.
been available for, and the text of the Torah has been available for 35 centuries. And in 35 centuries, I can tell you that no one has really understood it.
Yeah.
And so understanding it is in the commentary. It's and there are 10,000 insights in these books that where, let's see if I get it right
There you go.
There we go. And here again, well, I can put it in front of my face. That's probably a pretty good spot right
Don't
there.
do that. No.
And don't do that. That's very hard on the shorts and more. There's 35 books like this. By the way, all new covers too. That's not so bad either. They're beautiful new covers. In the beginning, here's another. They have now all arrived. Thank you, Joe, because he's got them all back up at Amazon. This happens to be the most recent that has been published, Time of Trouble. This will tell you over 825 pages, everything that's going to happen of consequence over the next 7.5 years. This is the book where we figured out that Donald Trump is Satan incarnate, and that he is destroying the planet and will betray Israel. You'll find it all there. So
tell the children how you came about Mizmowr 89.
Oh, well, that would be that same woman. Yeah. As she will say so poignantly.
A different anniversary present?
That when she first came
was
upon the 89th, because the 89th Mizmowr had been there all the time and no one has understood what it represents. She says, I almost peed my pants trying to get your attention.
No, it was bad,
I'm really focused. So when I start on something, and I'm translating it and I'm trying to understand it and I'm making the connections. A bolt of lightning is not likely to move me from my seat.
The house could burn down.
Oh, the whole house could burn down. And I'd stay focused. And she's jumping up and down and says, no, I need to talk to you. I said, but I'm doing this. And
I said, but no, you need to hear this.
I said, Leah, one thing at a time. I can do maybe 3 things at once, but I can't do 4. And, and I'm doing 3 right now. So later, no. Now. And of course, it's the Mizmowr that changes everything.
Yes, now.
It changes everything. There can be no Jesus with the 89th Mizmowr. There can be no New Testament.
Do you know how Leah...
The Savior is Dowd. The Messiah is Dowd. The Son of God is Dowd. The returning King is Dowd. The chosen one is Dowd. And Dowd is the one who is returning Elyon as the very hand of Almighty God.
And do you know how I got the Mizmowr?
How?
I made a demand.
You made a demand.
That's
right. You did. You've told me this.
I made a demand. I said, yes, I'm feeding him verses concerning Dowd in this manner. And I can't be that Jew who gets it wrong. So you are going to help me get it right. Yeah.
This was the time that we were beginning to recognize that the actual Messiah is David, the actual Son of God is David, and that the chosen one is David. And that means that, there's some real issues with Christianity claiming all of these for Mr. Christ when all those titles belong to Dowd. But it's it's 1,000,000 miles from there to Dowd fulfilled Pesach, Matzah, and Makodim in 33 CE. Therefore, he's the Savior.
Right.
And so we were progressing and making many announcements of Dowd's the one. And wrote these books on Dowd. In fact, this was the first of them. We're very close to having. Well, there we go. Finishing this one in the outdoor studio.
Yeah.
And
I want to let you know, though, I didn't.
This is the most recent of those that I have written here on this series, Volume 3, and I'm about 700 pages into Volume 4 of Coming Home on Dowd. And we ended up having to go right back to the beginning and saying, okay, we were closer than anyone has ever been on Dowd. And we were 1,000,000 miles off. And that is, Dowd isn't just the Messiah and the Son of God. He's not just the chosen one. And that's big time.
He's Eloah.
He's the Zeroah. He's the sacrificial lamb of Passover. He's the very exemplar of the covenant. By him being the exemplar of the covenant, though, think what that means. That means a guy that was so bad that God gave up on him for 14 years and had to send a woman to scold him to get him back thinking, back sober, actually. And he's the exemplar of the covenant because he represents Yisrael, because he did finally get his act together. He finally did sober up, and finally he did perform as the Passover lamb and allow the Romans to crucify him on Passover. And then he went into hell for us for a heavenly cause. And so that's the man that God has established as, this is what I'm looking for. You know, you humans, you have your own little thing out there. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for interesting. I'm looking for observant. I'm looking for somebody that's willing to be engaged and do stuff. And I'm looking for somebody, if they fall, I don't care if it takes them 1 day or 14 years. They figure it out. They man up. They learn from their mistakes. They admit them.
And they become Tsadaq.
Yeah.
Bold.
And become Tsadaq, responsible, resolute.
Yes,
So.
because my persistence is greater than any resistance. And that is what Moshe lacked.
Yeah, so it was Leah trying to say, boy, we are really going deep into Dowd, going further than anyone has ever gone before. And remember how when I began to do it, we had a real falling away. The bromance. He says, you have a bromance with Dowd. I mean, it's becoming obnoxious how much you're falling in love with this man. And so, okay, I'm accused. I had a bromance. I read his Mizmowr. I thought his style was articulate. I saw the brilliance of his thinking and his wordsmithing and his courage and all of these things. And so, yes, I developed a bromance with Dowd because I saw how much Yahweh loved him.
You know what he was.
But the truth is that you love him.
What?
I was going to say, you know what he was in the Northwest. They were all out of Christian backgrounds, and when we went there, or when you went there, and they just couldn't take it. They said,
No, they couldn't take it.
Yeah, they could take
Because
it.
I was stealing from their mythical Jesus.
Fine, but you can't. Don't tell me it was Dowd. And he was like, he's going off his deep end. I said, well, I don't think so. So y'all go away.
Y'all go away. Yeah. And the fact is, we didn't go far enough.
No.
The fact is, we didn't go far enough. And so we've been exonerated in that regard. And it was the 89th, which took us, when you go where Yahweh's words lead in the 89th, there is no Jesus. There can be no Christianity. There can be no New Testament. The whole thing is trash. And I had to rewrite Twistianity, which became 5 volumes, to present that trash. And it became obvious that was necessary. Here happens to be volume 1 of Twistianity. There's 5 volumes like this in that series. So you find out that it's all trash. I mean, that's the most extraordinary leap that a person can take. The most popular religion in the world. You're telling them that your Jesus, the man that you're calling God, the God that you said that men could kill, never existed. He is
people
a crude
don't want to
counterfeit
be.
of Dowd.
People don't want to be completely wrong. We're okay with being a little bit wrong. You know, oh, well, okay, his name was just Yahusha. Oh, okay, his name was just, oh, no, we can be a little bit wrong about, no, completely wrong. Nobody likes that.
Completely wrong.
And that's
the entire New Testament is trash. It was written by a man who admitted he was demon possessed. And it is it's a crime of identity theft of Dowd David. And there's nothing that is more obnoxious to God than the lie that is Christianity. God despises Jesus, the Mr. Christ, Paul, and the Christian New Testament. He hates it with a passion. And when you realize who Dowd is and what the 89th Mizmowr says and everything else supports, you'll come to that same conclusion. But it's gutsy to do so, and it is it's an influence killer. Because when you start doing that, you'll find that, well, you won't have very many followers because nobody wants to hear, as you said, they don't want to be told they're completely wrong. And yet, what a great gift. You know, the religion of 2.5 billion people, you can save them from that religion if they'd only listen. And you could point them to the truth that's so much more profound and beneficial.
Shall I do so now?
Do so now what?
Say something beneficial.
Well, sure.
Okay. Men were completely wrong about there not being a mother of the covenant. And she does have a speaking role.
Mm-hmm.
And what she has to say, all men should hear.
Mm-hmm.
It is profound.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's one of the things too, fellas, that I was the first to pursue something that actually drew Leah Tobey 18 years ago, which is that Ruach is a feminine noun, that the Torah is a feminine noun, that the Bereth covenant is a feminine noun, that Nefesh soul, even in a man, is feminine. And that the terms that Yahweh uses, like Adamah Parah, is two feminine words, but they speak of a man. And God always identifies himself as masculine singular, even though he says he has a feminine Ruach and a feminine Nefesh. So I pursued this, and I actually came to some conclusions where that, part of the redemptive process was of the Ruach, who had maternal characteristics, clothing us in a garment of light. And I said, this makes so much sense in the Mikre, and that was before I understood that Dowd actually took our guilt into Sheol to deposit there, never to be seen again, so that your innocence is derived from the guilt being removed as opposed to covered in a garment of light. But turns out there really is a motherly influence in this whole thing. And turns out, according to the 31st Mashal, the last word picture, her primary occupation is to clothe the covenant family and the king. She's a seamstress. Oh, what was Leah's job before we met? She was a fashion designer. She had on her fashion label. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. All right. So there, as when Yahweh said we're going to make this change, there were already more volumes on the shelf at yadayah.com than there was time to read them. That is one of the things, Kevin, you keep on bringing up, that if you were to start right now and use every moment that you have that's free of every day, you couldn't read them once, and no one can process this information by reading them once. It's a full year. If you were to spend 3 hours every night and devoted reading through the 35 volumes at yadayah.com, free at yadayah.com, both in page turners and PDF, and then you can buy these books royalty free at Amazon, that it is a full year at 3 hours a night, 7 days a week to get through this series of books. And you need to read them more than once.
How many times you're going to have to go reread several passages just to really fully understand it.
Correct.
You don't just read through it and you read it, then you go, wait a minute, go back and start reading it again.
Yeah, read it again. And I remember so many times that I'm saying, in fact, when I'm writing right now, I said, you just need to stop right now. Now I'm talking to you now as a friend, not as an author or a translator, talking to you as a friend. You need to stop right now. You need to think about what the implications are of what you just read or what you just heard, because they are profound. They are life transformational. Think about this now. Like, for example, this idea that God alone cannot save us. Mm-hmm. And the reason he can't save us is that a relationship is participatory. And a relationship which has only one person participating is a misnomer. And so unless we engage in that relationship in a meaningful way, then it isn't a relationship, and the relationship is the only means that God has provided for our redemption and empowerment and enrichment. So God alone cannot save anyone. We have to participate. We have to make a contribution. We have to be observant so we know what he's offering. We have to engage so that we are in the game. And then we have to show that we're interesting and that we have character, so that when we stumble and fall along the way, we get back up and get going, and that we're always willing to continue to learn and grow. So, yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. So I mean, I read all the time. We're having people make posts on the Facebook page, for example, and they say, I'm rereading this series, or I'm starting in this series, or I just finished that book, and sometimes you've read it 4 or 5 times and you're going back again. I felt that when Yahowah said, I want you to start speaking to the people as opposed to spending all your time writing, that at that point, what he says is, you are the books.
Mm-hmm.
And
legit.
Yeah, legit. You
That just,
are
like, gave
you
me
are the
chills.
books. You've written all of these 25,000 pages. You are the books. And you even did your own translations and them in your own etymological studies to create them. And 100% of them are your own thoughts. I mean, I did not use anybody's commentary or any. I've never referred to anybody's commentary ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's all original.
Well, and look how much time we would lose. The time it takes to write the book, edit the book, produce the book, get it up on the website at minimum, and then onto Amazon. Look at how much, I mean, even at a breakneck pace of 3 or 4 months, that's 3 or 4 months that someone has lost being able to have access to that information. Yeah. Where if we're doing as we do now, you're translating, writing, and then we're doing shows on that material, it's
instant. It's
directly.
We can learn something in the morning, like some of these things I'm sharing with you. I learned this morning. Some of them I learned this afternoon. Some of them I learned 15 minutes before the show started. And if we're dealing with a book, that's 4 or 5 months out, 6 months out. And if we're dealing with it on this show, it's 15 minutes from the time that you discovered the insight. I mean, so much more powerful. But the other part of it is, we could go back and edit every one of these books based upon all the things we've learned in the last 6 to 12 months. And by the time we were done, we'd have learned so much more that we could go back to all those books and edit them again, and we wouldn't get out of our own shadow. We would still have a shelf full of books that very few people attention was being drawn to.
It's the same as the metaphor about this woman in Mishal 31 buying a field and planting wheat. What does it take to make clothes of linen? You have to buy the flax, sow the seeds, get the land, get the water, have your sunshine and the plant during the moon phases. You have to harvest that. You have to process it.
Turn it into
then you must you must weave it into a fabric. It takes hours and days and weeks at a loom to get one garment.
It does. You're going to be a busy girl. So,
how big's the family?
How big is the family? We're going to find out. It says that she's sitting at the loom, man. She is productive and making it. She's very fashionable, so it's going to be. God couldn't have picked anybody better suited for this.
Dowd says I have exquisite taste.
She does. She has good taste. Sometimes she screws up, like with me, but that was an arranged marriage, so it's not entirely her fault.
Right.
There were factors which no doubt convinced Yahowah that this would be a more effective approach, and this is the talky approach as opposed to the writing approach, the fruit of the lips. And I think that he's right, that the world's preference today is to watch social media videos rather than to read, such that we engage more people this way. And it gives us the ability to put passion into our words. You see far more conviction in the spoken word than you do in the written word. The conveyor of the message is far more approachable and real. More flawed too, which I think is helpful. That's one of the things that's important, is that people feel comfortable with the person conveying the message to them. This person's a real person, in a regular life, and devoting this to me and asking nothing in return. It's a pretty sweet deal. And people are
speaking of branding, it is the number one reason why I took the branding in the direction that I took it, is that these are real people. I'm a real person. He's a real person. To look at us any other way is to be religious.
Yeah, do you yada is that branding theme of all people of all ages and genders and backgrounds and ethnicities and dress and places and
Ain't
life.
none of them ugly though. Ain't none of them ugly though.
No, we because yada makes you beautiful.
Where is she? Where's she finding these people?
To know is to be beautiful. Mm-hmm. Even it's to yada is to see us as Yahweh sees us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You think that Leah's going to make ugly outfits for Dowd and the women in Dowd's life?
No,
don't think so. No. So we have the Covenant family has a stylist that's going to dress us all handsomely and beautifully.
They do have exquisite
and we're all are going to be more handsome and more beautiful. We're going to be as Yahweh sees. God says, I don't see people the same way that people see people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
When we were dealing with in a previous program, right here in Yeshaya 57, which he says, I'm going to act through his Nasama. So what he's looking at is our Nasama, our conscience, as opposed to our physical bodies, which are really irrelevant to him. So when you say, all the people that are part of the branding are attractive people, okay, that's to our eyes. That's not what Yahweh's looking at. He's looking at our conscience.
Have you ever really considered the word Nasalma?
Yeah.
Nes,
mm-hmm.
Alma.
Mm-hmm.
It's a compound word.
Yeah. All true. And very similar to Nefesh, which is our soul, the repository of our personality, our aptitudes, and our attitudes. So we're doing as Yahweh said because, people do want to listen, and we've also come to realize, lady and gentlemen, that the spoken word today is different than it has ever been. It used to be that the spoken word was only valuable to the people that were within 3 feet of the person speaking those words, and they had the longevity of the reverberations in the atmosphere that were created by the vocal cords. That is not the case anymore, and the problem with the spoken words, it couldn't be retained because of the Chinese game of whispers. You give a child a sentence and you have 10 children around in a circle. They whisper it into the next child's ear, who then articulates what they think they heard to the next child. And by the time you get to the end, in just a matter of 1 minute, the message is so convoluted it doesn't resemble what was originally stated. And so there was no longevity of the spoken word, so Yahweh went with the written word. Well, today, if you say it on the internet, it's forever. So it's locked up in one of a million of these data farms out there, and it's recallable. So the spoken word has longevity, and now the spoken word actually has a bigger reach than the written word. You can get this and dial it up in any one of the 12 different environments that we are live streaming this message, and we're posting this message. So, Yahweh was right. Now that the time is ready for it. I was reading about the gentleman in CERN who came up with the code for the internet to share this information. He gave it away. Had he not come up for the code for sharing the information, and he came up with the name World Wide Web, had he not done that, what we do would not be possible. That had to be in place for us to fulfill these prophecies.
Was he a member of the tribe?
I don't know. Was he Jewish? Okay. Well, everything's Jewish according to Leah.
Yes.
She asked me 1,000 questions. Well, you know who invented that? I said, I'm sure it was a Jewish man or woman. She said, that's right. Let me tell you about it. Mm-hmm. Pizza, by the way, is Jewish. I don't know if you guys know that, but everything is everything.
Sophia Loren,
Jewish.
even.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Sophia Loren. Now we're looking at attractive women. Mm-hmm. So with the advent of social media channels, the message is more readily available and accessible, and now it is equally enduring because once something is posted, it is forever. Also beneficial and insight deduced at sunrise can be presented before lunch, shortening the time for distribution, as you had mentioned, Kevin. Additionally, corrections are essentially instantaneous. I can say something less than ideal, and which I have a tendency to do pretty often, and can correct it in the next sentence. That's pretty cool. You know, say, well, maybe that exactly, it's a little more like this. And lastly, I had, since I've become the living embodiment of the books, why not capitalize on this by revealing everything that we have learned over the decades of working together? And that collaboration has been a long time in the making. Conceived initially during Bara creation with the greater and lesser luminaries of Barashith. So as Rich likes to say, so what are you, about 1 billion years old? Yeah, I'm still older than my wife because she wasn't mentioned until the events in the garden, and that was only 6,000 years ago. So, you know,
he still calls you young man.
So, yeah, well,
Yeah,
well,
he still calls
compared,
you young
compared
man.
to Yahowah, I'm still a young man. Brother like that. I think he's got a sense of humor. That's for darn sure.
It's adorable.
So, you know, it was the trees in the garden of knowledge and of lives, and Yahweh presents all the way through this very idea. It's underscored in the Nakar, the observant foreigner, that is presented, you know, right early in Debarim in the Torah. The observant foreigner's metaphorical title is also conveyed as Ha-Rakok, is the one from a distant place. And while Rakok was presented in the masculine singular form, it is addressing both the foreigner from long ago who is delivering restoration and the one who has long been estranged and alienated who will be receiving it. Similarly, we have Ha-Krob, which speaks of the one that Yahweh revealed was closely related to him and to his son, who is close at hand at this point with not only the remnant of Israel approaching Jerusalem, but with Yahweh and Dowd, their approach time for the day of reconciliation. So
I have a question.
all of this is being confirmed. Yes,
I have a
dear?
question. The Garden of Great Joy.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word used there?
What's the word for great joy? Eden. Gan, Eden.
Right. Gan Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Protective enclosure, conducive to life that is filled with joy and celebration. Gan Eden.
Okay.
And what was that? How was that a question?
It's just a question. I was genuinely curious.
Okay, well that's the name. That's where we're headed back. It's been very clear that by Sukkah we'll have the doors opened again for Gan Eden. The transformation actually begins on Towrah, as all of the religious and the political, conspiratorial, and anti-Semitic are sponged from the earth. They're like literally incinerated. Clean up on aisle 7. Yeah, aisle 3, aisle 4. Well, this would actually be aisle 5 by Towrah. And then God's transforming everything back to the conditions of Eden. And we have 1,000 years to work with that mortal remnant, and they're going to have children. Yeah, in fact, one of the things that's really cool about the word picture, the last word picture, is that for those who like sensuality, who think that, you know, as men, that women are pretty, and women who like men, I don't care if I've never had anything against people being gay either, but if you like the old fashioned stuff, and a man being attracted to a woman being attracted to men, which I happen to like. I'm my wife says,
Oh, he's the staunch romantic.
I am a staunch romanticist here. I love romance and
love.
Every bit of feminine affection. I eat that up alive. It's one of the great joys of life. And what you find is that Leah gets Dowd's attention by saying, "Listen, young man, I know that this is a really important aspect of your life. You have overstated it, but you know,
Slightly.
I'm going to tell you, I get it, and I'm going to help you out, and so that you can enjoy it on a far better basis that's more mature, and actually it'll be more enjoyable for you. And I'll help with your pretties, because you've been a really bad choice of women, and I'll screen them for you, and I'll dress them up for you, and I'll prepare them for you. But the fact is, we are going to be productive in more ways than one, and we're going to enjoy it. At least I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to speak for the rest of you, but
there's more to life than just kabod, huh?
Yeah, there is. Well, actually, you know, when Dowd talked about kabod, and he told Mikhail, you know, we're going to find out what the Amma thinks about me being kabod.
Yeah.
Amma.
It's not a concubine.
Yeah.
She's not
So
a
it's
concubine.
talking about the mother of mothers is going to think that I am, and going to recognize that I really am significant. And that's how she began her conversation with him. It was a double entendre, just as is most of the text through the last word picture. It's all set up as a double entendre. You can look at it as very simple and graphic, or you can look at it as exceedingly profound, and it is true both ways.
Yes, because the woman brought you the definitive Mizmowr 89.
Yeah, it's both ways.
He is significant.
Yeah. We have Dr. Jeff back, so he must have saved a life. I appreciate you healing the world. We have another person that can still maybe listen to us one day. Would that be true? Oh
yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff going on over there.
Dr. Jeff is on delay.
I don't know.
You know what I think is Dr. Jeff's
on
issue
delay.
On delay is that StreamYard, when we are looking at the screens on StreamYard and we're doing this program, they have, between Kevin and Rich, they have found a way that I'm witnessing and listening to
in
with ears the actual upload to StreamYard, which is the firm we use. We just love it. They work beautifully. I would recommend StreamYard to anybody that wants to do this and join us. That we're able to see the actual upload in real time. When you're in a position where you're trying to contribute to the show on the down feed, and in one of the places where we broadcast these programs, there's a 4 to 5 second delay. And so it's a little like having a conversation with folks on the moon, you know, where there's a second and a half delay each way. So it's, 3 seconds after you say something that you may hear the answer back. This is, it's literally like you're having a chat with someone on the moon. And that's just the nature of the technology. Now,
The metaphor.
yeah, it's a good metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a good, we like these metaphors. By this time, the beneficiaries are going to be gathered, as we talked about, in Jerusalem, which is why I translated it that way. We know this from Yeshaya 17, where we're told about it, and again in Zechariah 6, where the chariots literally bring these people in. So it's really a marvelous way to present this.
What if I told you I know exactly how many there are?
How many are going to come into Jerusalem? Of the mortal remnant of Israel,
Yes.
as well as the Goyim who are going to come too, or just the combined or independent?
Combined.
Combined. The Goyim, whose attitude and aptitudes are going to be suitable for work, and which is not a pejorative, that's a very good thing. And the Israelites and Yehudim who have been collected from the world,
I found it today.
who are going to come to Jerusalem to receive the benefit of the sacrifice of the Adamah Parah. How many are we sending into Gan Eden?
We are sending them into Yerushalayim.
Well, I know how many. Okay. God's sending them into Jerusalem.
Yes.
He's picking them up. That's
Yes.
not our
No.
shtick. That's his shtick.
That is definitely his stuff.
That's his shtick.
There be 20,000.
20,000. Okay. Well, that's a good.
20,000 chariots.
That's a goodly number. It's more than I would have expected. Don't know what the verification is, but when you're getting instruction like this from your wife, and your wife is presented as the 31st Mashal paints her as the. She says a lot of great women out there, but you're the greatest of all. Is what it says. So if she says 20,000, we're gonna
run
live with 20,000 until we have the opportunity to affirm that she was right. What does your dad say, Dr. Jeff, about Leah and Leah's advice for your life?
Oh, LTL, baby.
LTL.
Listen to Leah.
Listen to Leah.
Listen to Leah.
Yeah. It's an interesting story with Dr. Jeff because you and I have been friends for it seems like 200 or 300 years, right? We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah,
and
indeed.
A lot longer. And even longer than I have known Leah through email. And so you came in and visited me when I was in Virginia, and we've had a great relationship. And you had a moment in your life where you had a Dowdian slip.
Oh, bad.
You allowed some women. You allowed some women to steal some of your essence.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly the thing that Leah said to Dowd. Don't let women do that to you. You have a purpose. Yeah. I want you to honor your purpose. You're a special, very important person. And so when that happened, Leah, more than anyone, came to your rescue. Now, I was the person behind the scenes saying, Leah, this will work. This won't work. I know this situation. I know this man. I love this man dearly. This is the strategy that will work, and I will call his father, and we're going to have a discussion, and we're going to make this happen. But Leah was instrumental, I think, in helping you get back on your feet and to become the man that you are today, just as she is now credited with doing with Dowd.
I ripped the mask off the woman.
Unequivocally, yes. And yes, Dowdian, and I've had some admittingly slow-mo moments also. So
yes. Yeah.
I identify. I can identify.
Yeah.
So
yeah, listen, we all have our hiccups and our flaws, and we only become strong when we do have these tumbles and we get back up, and often we need people to help us along the way. You know, I know even in JB, you know, we were doing so many shows together, and we're in constant communication and growing. And then there was a period of time where things happened in your world where we didn't have any issue. It wasn't. I don't think there was ever any issue between us. But you had things you had to take care of, and
like a baby.
I lost touch with you for a while, and you got those things worked out, whatever they may be, and here we are.
JB had a baby, sweetheart. That's a lot to work out.
Well, JB did have a baby, and JB changed jobs, and he tried to change locations where he was going to work, and ended up coming back. And you know, and by the way, congratulations to Patty. I know she's back teaching again. That's something very fulfilling for her, and so we're happy. We're happy for her. I would also tell you that. That in the last few weeks in particular, and it may be coinciding with the fulfillment of going back into teaching, she is a very active supporter on Facebook, and her posts on Facebook and X have really matured and become exceedingly insightful and productive and beneficial. So there's some positive feedback for you, JB. Patty is very much appreciated in what she's doing. All right, we're going to get through this because we made a commitment that we were going to go through when the guys voted in favor of 50 Isaiah 57 over the 31st Mashal, that we were going to get through this. Here's the last statement. However, the wickedly wrong and condemnable, those who remain guilty and unjustified, who are akin to the sea, will be stirred up and driven out, as he causes himself to be demonstrably tossed aside and banished and removed. Being quiet and remaining silent is something they cannot comprehend, grasp, or understand. And so the foul muck and mire to be tread upon and to be swept away of his waters will be stirred up and tossed aside, forever expelled like the retreating tide. So God just had a beautiful statement. Says all the people are coming to Jerusalem. They're going to hear this message. Going to be shalom, shalom, total restoration. Leah says be 20,000 people who are going to be the beneficiaries. All
20,000 chariots. I don't know how many is in a chariot.
So 20. Well, there's 2 chariots that come in. One of Goyim, one of Yehudim and the Israelites. So it's 20,000 a chariot.
Yeah, but how many people are in it fit into a single chariot? I don't know. Do you?
4 chariots. 4 chariots or 4 colors of chariots.
There's 4 but
colors.
One of them only has 2 people in it, and they never leave Jerusalem.
Yeah. Right.
So that kind of limits the number on that one. They may also have covenant members with them, but the covenant members are not the beneficiaries. They are the officiate. They're adding their contribution to what is happening with the sacrifice of the Adam of Parah. The black chariot is carrying people that are still overtly religious and political, particularly that are Israelites that are still Haredim and the like into Sheol. So we're not counting that one. There are 2 chariots, the dapple and the white, that the white chariot picks up every soul from around the world on the evening of Towrah and brings them into Jerusalem that have religious error by omission rather than commission. So they're still stinged a little bit by religion and politics, but they're not promoting either one of the 2, and so they're salvageable. They can be cleaned, and they are brought into Jerusalem. And then the dappled chariot is the Goyim, who will be the primary workforce for this period going forward, and they're also brought in. And somehow there's a 20,000 multiple here, but we'll find that out and convey it. At the same time, the earth is purged of the rotten people, the wickedly wrong. They cannot continue into the celebration of Sukkah. Otherwise, it's not a garden of great joy. It's a garden of great animosity and chaos. So the wickedly wrong, condemnable, and those who are guilty and unjustified, who are akin to the sea, waves going back and forth, tearing apart, eroding the land. Those who are stirred up will be driven out because they are demonstrably tossed aside and banished and removed. And this is the final removal. This is the cleanup on aisle 5 because it's Towrah. Being quiet and remaining silent, unfortunately, is something they can't do. We talk so many times about the nature of the embittered cult that was promoting a mother god. And they couldn't figure it out that all they really needed to do was to shut up. And they would not have earned God's wrath if they had just kept their mouths shut, but they couldn't do it. And that's what he's saying here. They just don't know how to keep shut. It's like every time we share the truth with somebody who's religious, like Jesus never existed, the real Messiah and Savior and Son of God is Dowd, and God's name is Yahowah, and you share these pearls of great value with them, and they spit all over them. They vomit on them. And so they just don't know when to shut up. And you can't get them to grasp the truth or even process it. And so God says, and so this foul muck, it just has to be swept away. And his waters will be stirred up and tossed aside forever like the retreating tide. It's a beautiful metaphor of all that is going to happen. And the next statement, and I want to share it just to say that we really could finish these last few statements. We're only 19 through 21, so we ought to be able to get this done. Therefore, my God says, there is no reconciliation, restoration for those who are wickedly wrong or retain their guilt by misleading. So if your religiosity is such that you're promoting religion, or you're promoting politics, or you're promoting conspiracy or any anti-Semitism, you're deliberately harming people. There is no reconciliation. There's no restoration. There is no shalom, salvation, for those who retain their guilt by misleading. Rasha.
Like a mother god.
Yes, they are condemned for misdirecting. And if you're active, having a sight of, we hate the Nakar, we hate the Choder, and we really despise and want to slander the Amma and the Ashar, there is no hope for you. There is no reconciliation, no salvation, no restoration, and God wants you to know that is the case because you couldn't keep your mouth shut.
So sad for you.
So that is Isaiah 51:21. Oh, there is another. It says, choose to call out, issuing an invitation to read aloud and announce the summons to meet. Kara, do not spare your throat. Lift up and raise your voice as if it were a shofar. Choose to broadly and boldly declare this report openly and conspicuously, making it prominent to my people, making them aware of their rebellion and their defiance, as we have, and to the house of Jacob, representing Israel, their wayward nature and their misleading ways. We had to go to the 58th chapter of Yeshaya to bring closure to all of this. That was 58:1. But that is what God is saying, is that our voice ought to be lifted up as if it were the shofar. What does the shofar announce? It announces good news of a message that is redeeming for you, and the warning of a terrible tragedy if you're not prepared. And that shofar is blown for Shabuah and for Towrah, these final two harvests. And so God says, pick up your shofar, man. Make your voice that shofar. Declare it boldly. Report it conspicuously. Tell my people that I am aware of their rebellion and their defiance, and the house of Israel needs to listen. They need to refrain from their wayward ways and misleading ways now, because there will be no other opportunity if they do not listen.
Yes, there's also another reason the shofar is used, and that is the call to war.
Mm-hmm. Well, there will be a final war here, but it's the shofar is the ram's horn, and the ram is Dowd, and so we're also announcing his return. And no one fought more valiantly to defend Israel, even in his stupor. Dowd was still a valiant defender of his people.
Yep.
So, gentlemen,
turning Jews into Yahuwd, turning Jews back into Yahuwd. That's the business.
Yep.
That is the business we're in, turning Jews back into Yehudim.
Craig, Lair, and fellows, I want to make a comment that I think is relevant pertaining to the Mother Goddess cult and all those who are in rebellion. As we move on henceforth, especially into this week, I want them to realize now, who's your mama?
Who's your mama? Who's your mama? It's my preference, of course, is just to ignore them, but God won't let us, because I want to tell you the retort and the final mashal is a dose of cold crow.
Oh yeah.
Served up boldly and bluntly to them and said, "You went off."
It's a mic drop.
You went off and after the wrong woman here. This is infinitely worse than what Miriam did when she said that she didn't like Moshe's her brother's wife. This is infinitely worse what you did here.
She did get something right early on, though. She told me something I hadn't considered. And that was, even she recognized that Yahuwd loved me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he is. You are. It's interesting when God presents the Amma, which is from M, mother, and Amma means the measure of a mother, and the full femininity of being a mother, and a mother who works as a servant, a co-working mother. She's always Yahowahs. She is loaned to Dowd, but she belongs to Yahowah. Dowd refers to her as your Amma.
Mm-hmm.
Your Amma that you sent to me. And it is what restored me. It is he says in the 116th Mizmowr, when you sent your Amma to me, she broke the bonds. She released me from the punishment that I had earned and deserved, and the calamity that I was facing. And she released me by having a very disciplined lecture with me and laying down the truth in no uncertain terms. And that's what ultimately freed me from the certainty of punishment that I had brought upon myself.
Yeah,
So
It's also the
powerful.
same thing that freed Dr. Jeff.
yeah, I'm
Evil
being
women.
tongue in cheek here, but I'm being very serious, and it's absolutely a measure of absolute, true, unequivocal, pure love. It's anti-coddling. It's anti what Adam did in the garden. It's like, this is what needs to be done. All right,
Yes,
this
it
is
is.
what you need to do to be chazak.
Right. It was the approach that I tried to orchestrate between you, Leah, and your father. It's time to be Shabbat, and you got it in you, because I've known you for too many years, and I knew that Shabbat was very, very deeply embedded in you, and that it would come back out, and it has. And you are every bit the Shabbat man that I've always known and loved.
Still working on it, my man. I'm still working on it.
So are we all. And the fact that we're still working on it is what makes this interesting. If we ever get it completely figured out, we'll have nothing left to do, nothing left to offer.
Right.
Right? So
Indeed.
it's like JB, you started in your translations and worked your way through Bereshith, Genesis, but the job is never done. And just when you got to the end of it, you could probably have written 10 times more if you started from the beginning again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a constant wellspring of knowledge and understanding and relevancy that has a powerful influence in our life. And here to find out that right from the days of creation, we were told this is what's going to happen, and this is how it's going to be delivered. And then right into the garden, we're regaled with what went wrong with man and how we make it right again.
Yeah, but nothing is as good as a plot twist at the very end of a story.
Oh boy, do we ever get a plot twist. But I will tell you that if that plot twist had been revealed to us 10 years ago, we couldn't have processed it.
No way.
I mean, you wouldn't even know. So what? So Dowd did bad stuff. So what? Why do we care?
Mm-hmm.
All kings do bad stuff. He did great stuff. He did bad stuff. What does it mean? Why do we care? We would never have cared until you realize that Dowd doing bad stuff and being estranged from God so that God can't trust his son, it ends life on the planet. It's pretty serious. This and then to come to the point of finally recognizing that since a relationship takes two, and both have to contribute, or it's not a relationship, that you realize that God can't save you alone. You have to contribute to engage in a relationship with him. And then to realize, well, how that's done and why that's done and how we contribute to that, it took a long time to come to that. And so many of the understandings and the insights that we're sharing now took 24 years to materialize. And, that we're just now delivering the fruit.
Potential.
All of that study. Well, we have 2.5 hours in our family hour.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Rich, you're still with us. You're hanging in there. You're not
falling asleep yet, Rich?
Not yet.
Okay. Rich is, as they say, Rich. We've got two guys that are just hanging on by a thread here today, Rich and Captain Kirk. But you guys are doing just fine. So thank you. Yes. Shabbat shalom to everyone. It was a wonderful way to spend this lovely beginning of a Shabbat celebration with you all. Look forward to being with you on the next time. And next time, you know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going Shazak. Yeah, we're going to be going into our celebration of the final word picture, the last mashal.
Thanks to Leah.
Good evening, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, y'all.